Wrap. It's Monday after the Sunday before. That's the Sunday when Liverpool beat Manchester City by 3-1. That's fourth placed Manchester City, leaving Liverpool 9 points ahead of them at the top of the table. I'm Reddy. I've got an A-list here. It's storming outside, very much sunshine in here, except for in Ben Johnson's head. We've got a very hungover Ben Johnson, Adam Melia, Paul Senior, Rob Gutmann, and Gareth Roberts. To start off with, because it was such a big game and you could feel it, and Klopp referenced it afterwards, the intensity, you knew how much it meant to both teams. I want to know quickly from all of you, heading into the game, what you were feeling about it. Were you apprehensive and stuff? And then how did that contrast with your post-match feeling?
I don't think apprehensive begins to cover it. I just couldn't function for an entire week coming into that. I'd sort of taught myself around to being made up with a draw. I said, I'll take. I don't know why I was so defeatist about it. I think to have sat 6 points ahead of them at the end of that game would have been absolutely fine, especially with the fixtures they had coming up. I looked at our fixtures from the start of the season and theirs, the first 10 or 11 we had. We always had our eye on this fixture. And I think I wasn't the only one who said to himself, fucking hell, if we're in touch with these coming into Anfield, and then we can beat them then and just nudge ahead, then we got a chance this season. So the prospect of being 6 points was amazing. I didn't think 9 points just seemed so far away from doable until you're in that ground, and then everything seems possible.
Yeah, well, I was a bit different. I'm normally very much like Rob, but I'd been away in the week, so it hadn't been at the forefront of my mind like it normally would. And then I got on the plane back in a pretty long flight, and it dawned on me on the airport that I'm basically flying to the match. And yeah, it didn't make me feel too good on the plane. And I'd started to overthink it, but I'm all right. I'm all right when we're at Anfield. And, you know, I think they said, we lost one game in 50 or something stupid now. And I'm so confident in this Liverpool team now, really. But the one team that you do fear is them. But yesterday, I walked into Anfield and I was pretty calm. I just fancied us yesterday, and I thought it justified my opinion. Really,
were you still calm post match?
I was more nervous at 2-0, but post match, yeah, we had a nice night. Gareth had a very nice night.
Yeah.
Throwing shapes, mate, weren't you?
That's it. I was, mate. I was dancing the night away. I thought we'd do them, I've got to be honest with you. I thought we'd do them. I fancied us all week, and a lot of their fans, you know, were being accused of crying it in and stuff when people listen to our content and stuff with some City fans. But, you know, we did that much of it, and we were doing stuff for other media as well that, you know, it started to creep into my head that they have got some problems and that there are some cracks in the armour, if you like, and I thought we could take advantage of it, and we did. And yeah, post-match, yeah, was just absolutely over the moon because, you know, nothing is won in November and all that stuff, and Klopp was absolutely right what he said in his post-match press conference, and he kept it under, but I'm sure behind the scenes he was punching the air like everyone else. And it's massive, like Rob just said. It's absolutely huge to beat them in that manner, and all the VAR stuff and stuff like that's just an absolute distraction. We were the better side. We scored 3 great goals. We deserve to win, and we deserve to be where we are, and we're a fantastic side, and we've got every chance of winning the league. There's loads of random stuff that can affect any season. I think that's our biggest problem, really. You know, injuries and form, and you know what other sides do and things like that. But I honestly look at their fixtures and just think I can't see them winning them all. I think there's further slips ahead, further cracks ahead, and Guardiola's, you know, punching the clouds and stuff and complaining to God, and that was. I don't think that you can't say music to your eyes, can you? Because that doesn't make sense, but it was.
Say that, I like that.
Yeah, it was. It was music to my eyes.
Musical eyes, didn't we?
I was different before the game. I think we'd underplayed how good they are. I think I was convinced that they were going to win. I was just, and you know, that's disrespectful to the quality of this Liverpool side, but I was just thinking, we're too confident. We're too confident going into this game. I think you asked everyone. I was watching all the stuff like, you know, the Anfield Wrap was doing, I was looking at all the other stuff, and everyone's like, you know, the ground's going to be bouncing, this, that, the other, and I was thinking, oh, is this just the one where they score first, and then we can't get back in the game, and then they do to us what we did to them. And so, the first goal's massive, I think, for the context of the game, and then after the game, it was just, I think the happiest I think I've ever been was when they thought they had a free kick and the referee gave offside. There was about 2 minutes to go. I celebrated that like a goal for ages. I'm like, get in! Get in! I still am now. Look, I told you I was pissed. Don't ask me no more questions.
I was maybe not quite as... I was along similar lines to Ben. I thought that they would come and do what they did, and that was what was terrifying me, was that they've never come and played before, and I just knew they were going to yesterday because I thought they needed to, and I thought with us looking a little bit rickety slightly at the back and conceding a few softish goals, mainly to do with kind of how we've been rotating. We've changed the team a bit over the last few weeks, sort of on purpose to make sure we were full strength for this game. Until it started, I was thinking City start so strongly, and we've sometimes started a bit slowly. That I was sort of dreading them getting an early goal, and I thought we weathered that really well. And I just thought, to be honest, when I saw how they were going to play, it was just, you know, not as a neutral, but I just thought about 2 minutes in, I was thinking this is an amazing game of football. It was because they've never come and done that before, and it was, I think Guardiola said it afterwards that it was a great advert for the league, and I agree. You know, the lad next to us, we were saying that he thought it was like a bit disrespectful of City to come and play like that. I don't think it was. I just think it was. I prefer them doing that than what they did last season.
There's actually two parts to that, because I think it gets overlooked that City were actually excellent in the opening 5 minutes. They were really good, and you actually were fearing, sitting in the stadium, that they were going to get the opener, because Liverpool were under a lot of pressure. But in saying that approach, the fact that they were so offensive, you knew Liverpool in transition are so good that they would possibly punish them, and obviously the first opportunity they got to do that, they used that. Did you have that same sense when you saw them so offensive? A bit of fear, but also a bit of, hey, actually, this suits Liverpool.
It does suit Liverpool, but no, it scared the life out of me, to be honest with you, because as Ben sort of referenced, we've been talking about the ground rocking and how Manchester City be overawed by Anfield. There was none of that. There was none of that early doors. I didn't think the atmosphere was quite as what we built it up to be in the beginning, and also I thought Manchester City just looked really comfortable with the occasion. They're unfortunate. I think if we're all honest, you know, they should have had a penalty, and yeah, they were in control of the game. They were 2-0 down.
I'm not sure how it's allowed that the handballs up before it hits Trent, though. I mean, like, sure, it's just handball.
I don't like sympathising with referees, but they've hung themselves with stupid rules. It should be so much easier than that. But just in terms of general play, I thought Manchester City were 2-0 down and the better side. Liverpool hadn't put two passes together, but there was one that they put together in Mohamed Salah's head. But yeah, I thought we were fortunate to be 2-0 up, really. But yeah, that's it with Liverpool, isn't it? You can have all of the ball, but within a wonderful ball from Alexander-Arnold and a brilliant goal by Fabinho. It's one of them things, isn't it? That we can just hit teams like that, and even teams of that quality. Manchester City are crap at the back, but what Liverpool do is all down to them. It was, as I said, the storm and goal from Fabinho, and then boss ball by Trent, even better ball by Robertson, and you're 2-0 up.
One of the most accurate things from the post-match reactions was Bernardo Silva saying, you can play really well against this Liverpool team and find yourself 2-0, 3-0 down before you can even understand what's happening.
I didn't quite see it the way you did, Paul. I thought their early encampment in our half actually comes directly from kickoff, and I'm not quite yet convinced that they intended to play radically differently from how they have at Anfield before. What happens is they take the sort of kick-off that we take, and it launches it deep into our half, and they win the first set piece on the touchline. It goes for a throw-in, I think.
They keep winning them, don't they?
Yeah, they keep winning. But at that point, you're penned in. It's like when you get a corner, you may also get another 3 because of the nature of defending that deep in your own half. And I thought they got a little bit of the rubber green, and they were determined. Of course, they found themselves deep in our half at that point. So it gave them this momentum in the first 5 minutes, and in a way, I think that served us because I think it drew them further into our half than they ever would have intended. And then they get caught out on the counter. My overview of the game is I don't think City were unlucky. I think it's a game where if you score 2 early goals against a rival and there's paper thin between you in terms of quality, they are going to have more of the ball. They are going to dominate the game.
Suppose my point was more around the early part of the game really, Mel, which was that City didn't look like they were being overcome by Anfield or the occasion or whatever, and it sort of sounded like I was damning Liverpool. It wasn't that. It was just that City looked more comfortable early on than we did.
I think that was the plan though, wasn't it? Because, we mentioned before that they come last year and, they were so determined to take the sting out of it last year that they were, you had John Stones standing on their own goal line, receiving it from the keeper, knocking it round, just trying to slow everything down. And it didn't, well, they got a 0-0, but it didn't work. I think they came to this one knowing, because of the gap that was there and the gap that could be there and the gap that now is there, they had to win, and I think they knew they had to win, and I think they came to get in our faces to use the atmosphere almost to their own advantage and to score first. They wanted to score first, and I thought we looked a little bit nervy initially, and I thought Trent looked like he was struggling a little bit. Raheem Sterling had his best game at Anfield that he's had since he left, and they were causing us problems, no doubt about it. But then we just get out. Fabinho scores that goal, we get out again. It's 2-0, and I thought. They threw absolutely everything at us and they played well. I think Pep Guardiola, when he wasn't shaking his fist at clouds, he talks about them playing well, and he's right to say that they played well. Yeah. But it was 3-1 to Liverpool, and we've won, and we're out of it, and it's done. And I think Liverpool deserve all the credit in the world.
I think Rob's point, Mel, about things being the difference being paper thin. Well, the difference, I suppose, showed that Manchester City could throw things at Liverpool. If say it's a boxing match, they're throwing digs at Liverpool and we're responding well to them. But Liverpool threw 2 early digs, and Manchester City's glass jaw, for example, was exposed. Yeah,
I disagree with Rob. I think it was definitely their intention to come and be quite ballsy at Anfield. I think they needed to, like Robbo said, because of the gap. Last season, they came in and they were in the ascendancy when they got to Anfield, so they had something to protect, basically. And it made sense for them to be obstructive rather than play to their offensive strengths.
My point is, I suppose, is that we'll never know because of the way the game went. I often think, if you often see one team come out the traps from the start of a game because something's happened to them in that last minute before they've gone out, where they've been fired up by a manager. Go, you have to do this. And, it's like they've had red meat thrown in front of them or whatever. Maybe that did happen with City, and they get the early momentum. But I always felt that we were ready for that. And I always feel if you can contain a team who've come out of the traps quickly at you for the first 5 minutes, they can often have not gone, but you've got a major chance then. I often don't like. I think if you come out of the traps fast and you don't score, it tends to go against you the rest of the half. I've seen it with Liverpool teams. You go, we're starting so quickly here. We better fucking score because otherwise it's not going to work. I don't think Klopp would look back at any part of that game. Oh, Jesus, we let them onto us too quickly, too early. I think that just happened. They're very, very good. They're always going to have periods of doing that. I think, I tell you what I do, where I sort of feel like the wider sympathy with Paul's points and other points is, I think it sounds mad because we won 3-1 and we're all ecstatic. I feel we were slightly cheated out of a vintage Liverpool performance alongside a vintage Liverpool scoreline. Because if City had scored first, I think there's a chance we get the Tottenham game. Maybe not, but I think there's a chance we'd have seen Liverpool dominate a team that it's very close to. That we didn't get a chance to see Liverpool do that. We got a chance to see Liverpool be ruthless on the break. But that's the only sense in which I feel.
Because we were 2-0 up, you mean? So we
yes,
didn't need
because
to do
we were 2-0 up, and we did. And there's no way at 2-0 up you're going to boss a game against Manchester City. I don't care who you are. It wouldn't be Barcelona anybody.
It reminded me a little bit of the one where Arsenal score first, but then we sort of break out of the trap because of how high City were. But you could see City are much better than Arsenal, but you could see us trying to figure it out, that sort of risk reward thing, taking the risk to break out of the trap. And I thought the second goal was a brilliant example example of that. But like you're saying, Rob, because we were then 2-0 up, we don't have to do what we did against Arsenal and or Tottenham and sort of turn the screw and end up.
And it wasn't 2-0 up after 35 minutes. It was 2-0 up after 13 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think once it goes 2-0, that's when Liverpool play the best football. But I think they're really good in them initial stages. But then I think from it going, the move for the goal for the second's unreal. But then the football Liverpool play, the midfield performance from Wijnaldum and Henderson, and Fabinho goes without saying. Yeah, he's the best in the Wales at the minute. It's ridiculous. But the ground that Henderson and Wijnaldum cover is incredible. And you see Guardiola after the match and the City players after the match is saying, you can't live with it. What they're doing, how much ground they're covering then two centre mids, it just makes us play.
See, centre mids traditionally will just cover a small rectangle, won't they, left to right? They'll just shuttle across, move across. Where they're doing it, but they're covering like from on top of the fullback to their fullback. It's the width, it's the length of the field as well. Where they're not, it's not traditional because they're pressing, but also if the ball switches shape, they go compact and face them up another way. It is incredible what they're doing, but also the thing I was most impressed with them yesterday was the quality on the ball. That's the thing where Liverpool's functional midfield or Liverpool's midfield that enables this. It wasn't necessarily that. Gini Wijnaldum, some of the technical football he was
under
playing
such pressure as well, incredible.
Unbelievable,
And
not pressure from some yard dog from Stoke or something. Manchester City's midfield.
That's why it's so hard for City. Yeah. That's why it's the hardest game City will ever play, and that's why Guardiola's so sort of effusive in his praise, is because what Liverpool are capable of doing, no other team in the country can do it, bar maybe City. And he's looking at it thinking, but this just isn't fair. Because normally we go and we camp in someone's half and we score. And then we score again, and then we keep the ball. And they don't get near us, they don't lay a glove. We go and try and do that at Anfield, they score. Fuck's sake. All right, well, let's do it again. And then we open up a little bit of time, chase an equaliser, they score again. How are you meant to... And then Liverpool are able to control the midfield and the way they keep the ball and the way they just... City were chasing shadows for 20, 30 minutes in that first half.
I think what Adam said spot on, that, what I really liked about it was that when City, it was so intense that first half. Like, I needed a kip after the first half.
It lasted forever as well, didn't it?
I believe it was only 20 minutes in. But Liverpool, like City were pressing them so high up the pitch and so hard and were everywhere, and there was no space, and yet Liverpool kept playing football. And even when, De Bruyne is closing down the keeper and things like that, the keeper's playing fantastic passes out to the fullback. They're dinking it over heads. They're playing football. And I was watching it thinking, fuck me, like when you're under pressure like that, there must be a huge temptation to just think, fuck this, I'm lumping it. Do you know what I mean? And they kept playing and they kept playing. And then, like I say, they get out and they scored the 2 goals. I think that was sort of the most pleasing thing. But also as well, that midfield work rate that got mentioned there. City, you look at the stats and you go, City have had all the ball, or more of the ball than Liverpool. And that's so rare at Anfield. But what did they do with it? They didn't really hurt us that much because of that. Because there was nowhere for them to go. Because every time a fella looks up and he's on the ball, there's about 3 people around him. Mane's come back and filling in off fullback with the fullback, and it's like, I've got nowhere to go. I can't get out. I'll go back. And City had to go back and do nothing and not really hurt us with the ball so often. And that was where the match was won and lost, I thought.
A couple of great points there. Jose Mourinho said this Liverpool team is the complete puzzle. I mean, you take what he said and then you take what Guardiola said after the game about, when you're trying to play offensive football, they will kill you in transition. It's a trademark of Klopp's career. But then when you recover from that and you try and go again, their defense is so strong. You can't get any joy out of that midfield because they work so hard, cover so much ground. And then you've got fullbacks who are like midfielders, basically. And that enables Liverpool. You speak about being able to change your game at 2-0 up, play different ways when we're comparing and contrasting with other games that we've seen in the season, because Liverpool have all these different tools that we saw a lot of it last season, but I think it's been elevated in the current campaign to the levels of which they can in-game switch. And you said you felt they played the best football at 2-0 up. Or was it Ben? Maybe I'm hungover as well. I think I'm hungover from that game because that's one, by the way. You can't take your eyes off it. You miss something whenever your eyes are not on that pitch. But their first shot on target in the second half is Bernardo Silva's goal. that's a City team with all of the ball chasing a game at 2-0, and that's their first shot on target. What was that, 75th minute?
78.
78, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that goal. I mean, I don't like that it went in. And I started shitting myself at 3-1 down with 11 minutes to go. Oh, this is fucking gone now.
I had to go for a walk. I went for a walk under the along the concourse for a bit.
Yeah, I
a
did
little walk,
something
5 minutes to go.
Took a little piss, yeah.
I had a wig and then walked up and down for
Yeah.
a bit. The steward was looking at me.
I did something simpler then. I did too. I think I was blaming Alisson in the ground briefly in my head. I didn't want to say it out loud because I thought he was magnificent. But it's a weird goal to give away, and it very much was a consolation.
Okay,
It's a great finish.
Yeah, I mean,
I was criticising the
It's a
keeper
lovely
until you
finish.
see it.
He's
Yes, you see Alisson.
unmarked as well, which I
Yeah.
think is the big issue.
And it's in off the post.
He's
Yeah.
unsighted,
Right
as
in
well,
the
the
corner.
keeper as well from it. I mean, I thought that's a bit near post, but Silva's a specialist at shooting at the near post, isn't he? It is his goal. But by that stage, fuck it.
The point you made, Mel, about being able to control games in different ways. When we like a few years ago, you used to see Klopp would bring on a third centre half, and you go, "Oh, for fuck's sake, we're going to sit in now, and we're going to try, and it's going, they're going to score." And you panic. Now they bring on a third centre half, and you go, "Oh, sound, this is going to work," because you've seen it.
It's not clever.
You've seen it happen before. You've got that trust. You know they've done it. It's worked. We've seen games out. So when he does it, you think, yeah, we'll see this out. I think the only thing I thought, the substitutions, I think Henderson probably come off because he wasn't well, because he ran himself into the ground. I thought the Firmino change was odd because Salah was goosed. I thought Salah looked knackered and he was looking at
Salah
the
did
bench
come
for
off though,
ages.
didn't he?
He took Firmino off instead. I
right.
thought he was taking Salah off and then he takes Firmino.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he obviously wants that out ball, but I just thought that combined with Henderson going off just left us a little bit exposed for a bit.
He wanted numbers. Oh, that was the Chamberlain for Firmino one, was it? Yeah, he went 4-4-2 then, didn't he? Just for numbers in midfield.
I think they put that much work in as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Henderson wasn't well, but the puzzle quote from Mourinho is one that I've sort of really bought into, I suppose. That I think the Bayern Munich game last year is a turning point for Liverpool. It's when I don't know, a turning point for me personally is when I believe we can beat any style of side. They were, I think when they came here, I think people underestimated how much of a test they were going to be, and Liverpool had no Van Dijk in that first leg game, and it just proved to me that we've got the answer to almost every style of opposition. I think it's only Napoli we can't seem to master at the moment, but. Yeah, so if you're going to get Manchester City coming to town, Liverpool will have an answer for them. If Arsenal come and play a different style of football, Liverpool have got an answer. But it's not just, I don't think we play the same football for every opposition, and I think that's what's so special about us now, is that we can be the dominant 70% possession type, and we can, what was the guy, was it the old Swansea manager or something about putting the Formula 1 car in London traffic? Well, Liverpool would have an answer for that now. This is how we've evolved. Whereas Manchester City go ahead, have the ball, you can be in control for the first 15 minutes, but yeah, we'll hit you with a double punch just because we'll find a way, and that's what's changed. So where you're talking about being nervous in the ground and stuff, I'm sort of past that now. I've got to the point now where I trust them all the time. Where we always had nagging doubt whether it was but the goalkeeper. Obviously we've changed that now. Or Liverpool were bad at the back. We've changed that now. There's just so much. We've got so many answers to every question that can be possibly asked of you. So that if I know Chelsea are in good form at the moment. If our next game was Chelsea, you just fancy us to find a style of football that would have the answer to anything that Chelsea would throw at you. It's incredible what we're achieving, and it is. I'd say we still had doubts about the Liverpool team 12 months ago, little questions about them. We haven't done much business, but they've done it on the training ground. You know, the addition of Fabinho's obviously huge, and I think he might be the final piece of that puzzle that Mourinho's been talking about. That's just made us probably now the best side in Europe.
His ability, Fabinho yesterday first half. Someone mentioned it. You mentioned it before, Rob, about taking the risk. Fabinho 3 or 4 times first half beats 2 men. And he's the deepest midfielder, and if they win it, they're in. And he's getting the ball under pressure, back to goal, and he's got 3 of their fellas after him, bink, and he's beat them. So when we're out of there pressing away, and it's so valuable. The ability to be able to do that is just unbelievable, and that quality of press as well that you're up against, it's unbelievable.
The fact he plays so much higher than I think people understand. I think people who don't watch Liverpool every week will think he's a traditional number 6, that Makelele role where he just shields the two guys in front of him. It's absolutely not that. If anything, he's pressing their two centre halves. It's what I think Sarri wanted with Jorginho. It's that sort of new style of role where we pressed him so high, but he's got everything as well. When he when he has to sit on top of the centre halves, his ability in the air is sensational. You know, you're not winning a header if it goes down the middle of the pitch with Liverpool, because usually Matip or Van Dijk and him, that little triangle we have there, nothing's going in there. I'd hate to play against us.
What's interesting about him is he spent a lot of his career playing right back and as a winger right back, and so he sort of brings that to the number 6 role. Most number 6s have come, they've been a centre half before, or they've not, or a defensive fullback.
You can see the benefit of the fact he's had to play fullback in his technical ability.
Do you know what I think is a mad thing about this Liverpool team that sort of excites me and leaves me nervous in equal measure, because we're on the cusp of so much here, is I look around the first 11, and yes, there was the first 11, give or take a debate about Lovren or Matip at the moment, and you go, 6, arguably 7 of those lads are the best in their position in the world right now. I think, okay, I'm saying it from a Liverpool-centric point of view, but I'm not seeing anyone I want instead of Alisson or Fabinho or Van Dijk or Trent Alexander-Arnold or Robertson and Salah Mane, arguably Firmino as well. So I'm losing count how many I've listed there. 6 or 7, arguably the best in the world. And if we do a combined Liverpool 11, I'm picking 7 or 8 of ours over theirs. The problem is I can't tell, therefore, what the level of the lads just below are. Yes, I know that Henderson and Wijnaldum are the hardest working midfielders in Britain, and we've got Milner can on his day match them, so we've got sort of cover there. But it feels to me like we're on the cusp of being the greatest team in the world, but also we're a minor little injury disaster away from not being. And I don't think, and this is no dig at the transfer committee or anything like that, because I think it's really difficult to do. I just think it makes us quite an unusual sort of team.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has 11 of the best players in the world in the team ever. Though when you
but then what I'm saying is the second tier below that are not. We don't have a defender who's near Van Dijk, not even close. I don't believe we don't have an alternative to Trent Alexander, and why should we? Because Van Dijk is so clearly the best, and that's my point in a way. We don't have anyone who's near Trent Alexander-Arnold or Fabinho.
But I don't think anyone else does really, in terms of if. You see Manchester City with injuries there yesterday, and they fall apart. They're playing Angelino at left back. They've got 3 left backs at the club: Zinchenko, Mendy, and Angelino.
There's not a huge amount between them, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But there's no quality. Whereas at least ours is the best in the world.
I'm agreeing with you. This is my point. I think City, for example, I think we put 7 or 8 in the first 11 out of the 2. But you do a first 22. They've got 3. They're more interchangeable, I suppose, and that's the question for us: is can we be as sustainable as they can?
I just wonder whether we're not praising enough the quality that we've got in the squad. I look at our bench yesterday, and I thought, if you want to bring Chamberlain on, you've got people have got varied opinions on him, but we've got a £50 million midfielder, and Keita sat on the bench. Joe Gomez, if he gets his head right, is the best young defender in the world. I'll stand by that all day long. The goalkeeper even has shown, we were missing Alisson for I don't know how long, and he comes in, he's a perfectly able deputy.
He's better than our deputy.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is Manchester City we're really concerned about having to play Bravo. Origi, as you've documented, you have a strange relationship with Origi because you don't know just how good he is, but he's bloody effective. Jadon Shaqiri would go to most Premier League sides. I know he's not on the squad at the moment, but be their best player. So I think we've got to a point where we worry so much about our own quality without realising just how good they are, because their peers.
Yeah, maybe. I think there might be
more. So good.
There might be more to come as well. I think. I don't think that was the best we've ever played yesterday. No, I do think that you can see. So I think that Alisson coming back adds a new dimension to our game. And I think that you can see kind of, Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain nibbling away at the fringes of the first team, and that's a really exciting thing that's to come. So, I mean, I understand your note of caution, Rob, but I just think that we deserve all the plaudits, more of the plaudits than we'll probably get at the minute. Because these things, and I get what you said before, Robbo, because these things, the VAR thing is a distraction and a sideshow, but these big matches hinge, and seasons in fact hinge on those marginal decisions, don't they? Like, you know, the ball that doesn't cross the line at the Etihad last year, and you know, which they rightly sort of flag as being such a key thing. That's why those VAR things end up dominating the headlines, because everybody kind of knows that can swing things one way or the other. But I think that we, despite that, should be just shouting from the rooftops about how good we are and how I think we're going to get better. This sort of period of last season, you could see a similar thing. We thought, okay, well, we've ground out a load of good results, but we haven't probably kicked on and started playing really well yet, and then we did. So I think there is more to come, and it's interesting to see us managing a season like we've managed games as well. So like, you know, we're managing the season now like we are kind of like 2-0 up yesterday. And it's just you can see them. I mean, they are so smart. We've said it before, haven't we? Our team's so smart. They can figure out almost any problem on the pitch. And I don't know what my point is. It's just that Liverpool are magic. I think, something like that.
There's an extra nous and gnarliness now about this group, though. I mean, like you saw it again yesterday. You know,
Gomez was good when he came on, wasn't he?
Gomez was fucking brilliant, and when he just lifted Sterling up and just went, nah, lads, I was just fucking like, I've watched that clip about honestly 1,000 times. It was fucking superb. When Mane goes through and he's flagged offside and he just boots it away,
I love that.
Fucking brilliant. And it's like, you know,
not letting them take quick throw-ins.
Standing over free kicks all the time, all game we were doing that, standing over free kicks.
And we've cried for this for ages as well.
There were
dark arts.
There were periods of the game as well where Mane was in possession and Liverpool were looking to sprint, and he was like, no, relax, calm. And that thought process, because there used to be periods when Liverpool would play, I remember a game against Bournemouth, and we're in the lead, and there's absolutely no need to take a quick free kick and power forward, and we do, and we go, and we get hit on the break. And one of the players afterwards referenced it to me about the things Liverpool need to change in order for them to grow as a team. It's not just about your technical ability and your cohesion together, it's how you think through games. And this side's ability to think through, even in the biggest games with the most pressure, most attention on them, is remarkable. One of the things I wanted to bring up, though, because it seems to be a perennial talking point, is the midfield. And yesterday, when you tweet the team news, the messages, like the feedback you get is like, oh God, Klopp's gone with Henderson and Wijnaldum again. He doesn't want us to win this game. Where's Oxlade-Chamberlain? And oftentimes that's a kind of displacement thing where you're not at the ground and you can't actually see the influence of those players. But to have Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain saying, I cannot get into this team because I am not good enough, I'm not yet at that consistent level that the ones getting picked ahead of me are. So if he can realize it, if you have Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, and Jurgen Klopp all talking about these players, and I'm not talking about Fabinho because everybody gives Fabinho credit. I'm talking about Henderson and Wijnaldum. Probably the captain more specifically gets a lot of the criticism. If you've got three of the best managers of this generation talking about what they do, why is it that people won't appreciate it?
I think it's a people don't realise what they're meant to be doing, and it's not traditional what they're doing. It's not a traditional midfielder. So if you think about all your best midfielders that have played for Liverpool, you think Alonso, you think Gerrard, you think like Alonso used to get it and run the game from centre mid, and you think, oh, we need that. You need to have him next to Fabinho and you run the wheel, but it just cock our balance up. And I think because it's not traditional, it's easy in your head to say, oh, they don't really do much, because your centre mids, your Vieiras, you know, these players who run games the way football used to be. What we're doing is just because you can't really put your finger on it what their role is.
I suppose it's also intangible, like how much Henderson's cover and Wijnaldum are covering for their fullbacks.
Exactly.
And the
This is the
attacking
key
players
point
are there's no measurement, there's no numbers that you can put
It's impossible.
There are
Go on, mate, go on.
They're arguably tucked in fullbacks a lot of the time. You know, the way Bielsa used to use them. because our creative mids, the people want in that midfield are Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, but they're just playing wide.
Yeah.
I think once that clicks, they're effectively defenders. Of course, Henderson gets forward, but in the way that a conventional fullback might get forward, maybe a bit narrow, admittedly. But I think that's what they're getting.
That's it, and that's
wrong.
that. It's really hard to pinpoint. So you can understand, like people, you've seen time and again people saying, I'd play Chamberlain centre midfield. Before the game I was thinking that's never happening in a million years against this side ever, because without the ball he'll get exposed, with the ball he'll get it took off him.
In what world does he make that change for this game?
It's just not happening.
And no, it was never happening. And Joe, I'm a little bit fed up with Liverpool fans of doing that. It's disrespectful. We've lost
one league game in the last 51, and that was to Manchester City in January.
It's literally the Champions League final starting team, and it'll go down as one of Liverpool's best ever teams.
You know, we've got the best home record in Europe. We haven't lost it at home since 2017.
April 2017. Yeah.
We've won 20 of our last 21 football matches.
Well, all these stats are right. Stop it, pack it in. Don't question this manager. It's out of order. When if they're going, why isn't Oxlade-Chamberlain playing? Because fucking Klopp doesn't want him to play. That's why I'm sick of Liverpool fans questioning this manager. You've got no right to. He's playing against with 8 points clear at the top of the league, 9 points clear of Manchester City, against the Manchester City team. That's the best ever. The best ever. They've got 100 points one year and 98 points the next. So they're running on a 99 point average, and we're questioning the manager that's going to overturn them. Fuck off, pack it in. You'll play Oxlade-Chamberlain when it's right.
Seen a thing for City to get 100 points. I think it was Andrew Beasley on Twitter. For City to get 100 points, they've got to win every game bar one. They can afford to lose one game and then have to win every other game to get 100 points. Liverpool can...
Which they might do, by the way.
Which they might do.
We've been through this.
Liverpool can draw 3 and lose 2 and still get 100 points. It's incredible what we're doing.
And that's what frustrates me. Like, take Oxlade-Chamberlain as an example. He's all right, he's sound, but why is he getting in ahead of Henderson and Wijnaldum in a game like this? Have we not seen enough from Henderson, Wijnaldum in big fixtures? I know that they're the right guys to turn to. Fabinho picks himself, obviously. We knew he was going to play. Oxlade-Chamberlain, yeah, he's sound, he's doing okay, but
there's a time and place for him. There's a time and place for him and Keita to play centre mid, and that's fine. When you know you're not going to get exposed at the back, you're not playing against the team who's going to try and get after you and play you. You're going to need a little bit more creativity in centre midfield. That's fine.
Because you're all right to take that risk.
You're all right to take the risk
you will be more exposed. So you can't play him against. At the moment, you can't play him in the midfield with that much quality.
Sorry, we're talking about Guardiola doesn't play David Silva for the same reason we don't. And he has not done at Anfield before. Guardiola, with the team he plays, he always plays 4 or 5 attackers, doesn't he? Wherever you want to label them. But he played his wall midfield of Gundogan, Rodri and De Bruyne. He doesn't have that extra attacker, and he doesn't have David Silva in that. He doesn't have Mahrez and drop Bernardo deeper. Klopp's doing the same thing. These are two teams who are going to cancel each other out.
Yeah, I was just that annoyed when you said that you were getting all them sweets. It really just...
And Henderson puts in a fucking brilliant ball, by the way,
isn't it? Jordan,
and sets up a goal.
Well, we were talking before Mel's point about just how good they were in the game. Like, what more do you want them to do? I mean, I was questioning Henderson's place recently, because he hadn't been playing well, and I'm a Jordan Henderson fan. But in this fixture, he plays. Of course, he's going to play. It's not the time where you take a risk. Manchester City at home, it was never going to be that. I was going to say, if he'd have played Milner, you could have sort of seen where he was going for with effort, or trying to limit them on the set, or cover Trent. Like if Sane was playing, if he'd have played Milner in front of Trent, you go, yeah, he's doubling up because he's been done. But
it's when they don't play, I think, that you see what they do. So
Henderson goes off yesterday.
When Henderson, exactly, a good example is Henderson going off yesterday. And I think that we've seen at times, I think it was the Super Cup final, Milner played instead of Gini, and you can suddenly see what Gini does, because Milner's like trying to do a ramshackle version of it, but he can't get about as much as Wijnaldum can, and he's a bit, his style's different. I think Gini's got quite a smooth style sometimes. Don't know what that means exactly, but whereas Milner's sort of dam busters.
One of Gini's problems games is actually that he makes everything look easy, that
Yeah.
it seems like he's not doing much. He's press resistant. You can't get the ball off him. He hardly ever loses possession.
Yeah,
And he's so clever in the way he covers ground, but also what he does with the ball. And I think a lot of the problems is it's not eye-catching. None of the stuff they do is generally... It doesn't make you think,
It's not Roy
that's
the Rovers,
exciting.
is it?
Yeah.
But when Henderson hasn't played in the past, I'm trying to remember which game this was as well, but there's a home game this season where Henderson was missing, and the impetus isn't there. The sort of there's like there's a drive and a lead, and just having a go at everyone else. We were missing that game in particular. I can't remember which one it was, but
It's Newcastle, I think.
yeah,
isn't it?
Newcastle.
You
That's
like
right.
you like tempo without him. I think.
Yeah, that momentum and tempo and, like I say, verbal encouragement is not the right word, but just getting everybody through the game and covering for people and backing your teammates up and them little partnerships. He's got partnerships with almost every player on the field. I think Henderson.
Well,
You can tell when he's not there.
The thing with midfield, and you can tell when you've not got the balance right. And we've got to make little bits of sacrifices with our midfield to enable the fullbacks. The fullbacks are the most important two players in this team. They create so much. So you've got to have a midfield setup that's selfless in a way, and that them three are that they'll happily enable Trent, Robertson, the front three, to do the magic for us. And Gini Wijnaldum's a good example of that. In the fact that you'll question what he's done in some games, but he's doing the dirty work. He's doing the little bits that no one else really wants to do. He's not, and the people who aren't watching the game quite as intensely might question what does Wijnaldum do? He doesn't score that many goals, or he doesn't do this. But no, he's allowing Trent and Robertson to get 13 assists each, or he's going to allow Fabinho to press here, or he's going to allow Salah or Mane not to track back as much as you'd quite like.
I'd really like somebody who's got much more intelligence than me. I'd like to know what their role is. What are they tasked with doing in every game to try and understand it? Because even when you're looking at it, you can appreciate what they're doing, but what are they meant to do? Do you know? Like, I'd like someone to say, right, when he's got the ball there, he goes there, because it'd blow your mind. I think it's the hardest position. I think playing them two wide midfield positions, wide centre mids, whatever you want to call them, for Liverpool, is probably the hardest position in football to play. It's never been done before.
It's like we play a four-man midfield. Their jobs are off the central midfielder in an old-fashioned one midfielder that goes, one midfielder that stays, and two left and right midfielders. Theirs is the job of the central midfielder and the wide midfielder when we're without the ball, and that's incredible. So in that traditional sort of 4-4-2 thing, it's allowed. When Rodgers used to outnumber teams, that's what he was looking for. He was looking for someone who could do that role completely. So we're outnumbering them, but without having to make where Rafa would play two hold midfielders to win the midfield. We're not having to do that. We can have the three forwards, because them lads wide of the central midfield are doing so much work.
One of the things Mourinho said when he was talking about that complete puzzle was the use of the midfielders, Henderson and Wijnaldum, and he said they enable Trent and Robertson to do what they do, to basically be auxiliary midfielders, but also they allow Mane and Salah to be able to stay in positions where Liverpool, as soon as they get it quickly, can feed them. So all Liverpool's transitions are so hingent on those two players being able to do what they do. The other interesting thing was, before the match, Vincent Kompany said, I think he was asked whether City would try and go long to circumvent Liverpool's press, and he said you can't do that either, because when you do that, Henderson and Wijnaldum are so good at second balls that you then leave them with the second balls and they're going to hit you in transition again. So I think it's important to realise there's a reason there's a massive stratosphere between what fans see and understand, and what a manager can see and understand, and even what the media can see and understand. But I think there needs to be a universal acknowledgement that if all these really clever elite managers are seeing what they do, then perhaps we should all give them credit
Well, this
for,
is it, isn't it? I
what they've been
mean,
doing.
we're blessed at the moment with punditry to have Mourinho in the studio. You've got the two best managers of this generation. One of them's at our club, and the other one's obviously the fiercest rival. You've got Wenger doing beIN Sports. You know, you hear him. You normally wouldn't get to see behind the curtain a little bit and get this sort of level of analysis that we're getting at the moment from the likes of Wenger and Mourinho. And when they're telling you just how good these three midfielders are, you should be taking note.
There's a level of being spoiled a little bit as well, isn't it? You know, we all talked before about the stats and about how long we've been watching a good side, and you know, we're champions of Europe, we're top of the league. You know, we're absolutely flying. And I think because you're watching it week in, week out, there's an element of being
when you watch
spoiled
other
by
teams.
it. Well, exactly, yeah. The shit.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, watch Everton, for fuck's sake. Like, I've got a mate who's an Evertonian you've mentioned before, and I've gone to the pub with him and had a pint and just watched Everton. And I'm like, fucking hell, are you watching this every week? No wonder you're fucking down in the dumps, lad.
Yeah, I watched Everton Tottenham and couldn't believe the drop-off in quality.
Down in the
That's
a great saying.
Yeah.
But no, that's it. I watched Everton Spurs, and you just couldn't believe the quality difference in a game that's sort of hyped as two decent sides. They're not. You know, you watched two decent sides yesterday. It was the biggest game of the season so far, but it was also probably the best in terms of seeing quality footballers. Like, if you want to talk about Manchester City, Bernardo Silva, what a footballer he is. Like, I couldn't believe just how good he is. The way he kept, like, it was like he was doing it so fast. He was dropping back in, knocking a ball off first time, and I was just going, you're brilliant. There was
loads of it you couldn't just live with, wasn't there? I mean, there was times there where Sterling was just ghosting past people.
Yeah.
And you were like, what a player this lad is, you know what I mean?
I think Trent's got defensive frailties, but you can't defend against him.
Sterling's so strong in the air as well yesterday.
Yeah.
He was winning everything.
We knew
in the
he
air.
was physically strong since he was a young lad at Liverpool, didn't we? But he's added to that again, and you can see that battle early on with Trent and Sterling, and you're like, that's tasty.
It was right in front of us. Ben wasn't next to me yesterday, but that bit that you're afraid of really was the sort of Sterling and Silva isolating that channel between Lovren and Trent, and it was the battle was sort of right in front of us. And I think just the quality of them is unbelievable, and I think the level of intelligence that Lovren especially shows. There's one time in particular where sort of half the crowd are saying, you know, dive in, and half of them are saying stay on your feet, and he just measures it perfectly.
I thought it was a really mature performance from Lovren yesterday.
Fantastic.
He was, and like it was Leicester he plays at home as well. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah,
Jason Lovren, I've defended him for a long time. He's obviously got a mistake in him, but when he's good, he's excellent. I mean, but what I noticed from him in these last two games is resistance to try and do something stupid and dive in at the wrong time where he normally would when he's in the team. I think he's obviously a fella who thinks about his own performance. He's conscious of his own mistakes, and when he's in the team regularly, he relaxes and puts them to the back of his mind. But when he's not in the team, I think you see a little bit more maturity from him. And you could see yesterday there was times where I thought, you're going to jump in here, and he kept standing players up. So I thought he was brilliant. I think, like, again, when you tweet teams and people see Lovren in it, they're like, oh, well, we're going to get beat now. It's not the case. You've seen a really, really top-class performance from a centre-half yesterday. It's not easy, but no matter what side you're playing centre-half against Manchester City, Van Dijk will do loads of your work for you. But there was a couple of times where he had a fair bit to do, and I thought he gave the answer every time.
It's when he's overcompensating that he's an issue, because then he's in his own head and he's not playing the game in front of him, he's playing the one in his head.
He got under a ball a couple of times. I mean, they weren't ricks, but he just does have that urge sometimes to go in half a yard too quickly for me. I mean, that's why
he's a front foot defender though, so he is going to get caught out where Matip's a bit more measured, isn't he, in terms of he'll stand off a little bit more, he'll take a yard off someone. Like the nightmare game he had at Spurs, he's attacking the ball, so he's going to win that header with Harry Kane. He loses the header. The little bits like that, where Lovren's always been one of his best qualities, is also his worst one. So when he gets things wrong, it's because he's being so combative. It's because he's stepping out and trying to win everything. Where my point was, I suppose, is that he is being that little bit extra bit measured. But I think it obviously helps that you've got Van Dijk next to you doing so much work.
I think the centre back.
Give him some praise when we
And got to give
criticise him so often. I think you've also got to praise him when he's excellent.
And praise the manager as well, I think, because it does seem like he's got... Klopp's done an amazing psychological trick on Lovren, which I never thought was possible.
I'd love to see Skirtle in this side.
Maybe
genius.
No.
Rob had a bevy last night as well.
That was a joke, boys. but it's interesting. But Lovren and Matip, my point really is nobody was particularly rating those lads 18 months ago or a year or so ago, and now you look at them and say, well, mostly they deliver world-class performances.
But Rob, it's not that. They're different footballers, and like people give me a little bit of stick over Matip now, and fair enough. I'll take it for Matip now, but I wasn't wrong on Matip at the time. I'm absolutely convinced.
But this is my point, Paul. This is my point. You were right. And
I don't come on these shows to criticise Liverpool players. I don't like doing it. I'd rather they were all at the level they're at now. But Joel Matip's changed. Dejan Lovren on these last few weeks has changed. It's coaching. It's further evidence of what's going on the training pitch. So when Klopp comes in to Liverpool and in his early press conferences, people are talking to him about transfers, and he sort of gives a straight back and goes, well, actually, I'd rather just have more time on the training pitch and develop footballers. You're seeing 4 years of him having time on the training pitch, developing footballers. He inherits Dejan Lovren. He's a better player. Matip, he was so shy. That's the way I'd describe him as a centre half. He wasn't aggressive enough. Now you'll see him get people out the way. You'll just move people out the way in an aggressive fashion. They're probably learning day in, day out from the best centre half there's ever been, in my opinion.
Adam's right though as well. I think about psychology. I think the psychology of individuals and collectively is so good. And like you saw it again yesterday. You know, he mentioned Dejan, and like he can make a mistake, and then you feel as though he's almost in his own head going, I've got to put this right by being dead good now. Where you just have to play your game, mate. Do you know what I mean? And I think they're definitely working on that behind the scenes. I'd love to know what goes on. I'd love to, have a big chat with Pep Linders, and he'd absolutely blow your mind. I'm sure he would. But like, look at Trent yesterday. Mentioned before, he starts badly, and you're worried about what Sterling's going to do to him. Next minute he's playing like world-class passes, and he's dinking balls over the head to Mo and stuff like that. To be able to do that is really, really hard, because you're under that pressure. The world's watching. You're in a stadium full of people. You know how important this game is, and yet you go, okay, I've fucked up a little bit. I've fucked a few passes. I'm getting roasted a few times there, but fuck it, I'm good, and I'm going to play a 40-yard pass to Robertson that no one can even see. Like that pass he plays, again, it's one of them. Another clip that I've watched 1,000 times. It's like, look sound on the telly and look sound from dead eye up in the stands. Seeing that on the pitch though, with all those people going on in the heat of that moment, to be able to play that ball, fucking brilliant. 21 years old. It's amazing.
Wrong foot, sort of looking the wrong way. I seen another thing, another tweet, I can't remember who's on it. There's a couple of stills of Bernardo Silva. Silva takes a gamble because he thinks the only pass he's got on is inside. I think it's slightly backwards inside the feet.
On his right foot.
On his right foot, that's his pass. So I'm going, and he goes and leaves his space, and Trent's got the ability to see that happen, and then on his weak foot, like stand and start, just go pink. Okay, I'm just going to knock that right over your head into that space. He doesn't even have to touch it, Robertson.
But
perfect.
You're right, Rob. Trent, when he's not playing well, you'd think it's almost counterintuitive, because you'd think what you'd do is go back to basics and simple passes to play yourself out of it, and he doesn't do that. And I've seen him do that before. Start badly, and then his basics are amazing passes. That he plays himself into confidence because he knows what he's got in his locker, and he's just he doesn't ever play it safe in those moments.
But you've got I know like probably getting into like psychology books and all kinds here now, but like you've got like so many sort of like cultural leaders at the club now as well, like people like Milner, like I love Milner when he come on yesterday and like just skittled about 3 of them in 5 minutes, because he was like, this is what's needed, you know what I mean? And like when we did that interview with him, he talked about he went, there'll be days, I think the phrase he used was, there'll be days where you just can't pass water, you just having one of them days. And he's like, but what you can always do is put effort in. You can always work. You can work out how to get through that 90 minutes if you know, if things aren't quite going right. And I think having that kind of person round, having him talking like that, having that experience every day on the training pitch, as well as Linders, as well as Klopp, as well as Van Dijk, you know, that's why we're seeing what we're seeing from some of these young players as well.
Gareth, that interview with James Milner is one of the reasons you should vote for the Anfield Wrap in the FSA Awards.
What a segue there. Look, my computer's gone off and everything. Yeah, we set up a link. So if you want to vote for us in the Football Supporters Association Awards, we are up for the Fan Media of the Year Award. You can go to theanfieldwrap.com/vote for tour, TAW, and that will take you to the page. Dead easy, only takes a few minutes, and there's a few other Liverpool related topics in there. So for instance, you could vote for Jamie Carragher as best pundit, you could vote for Sadio Mane as player of the year, and you're going to, aren't you, because the boss, and so are we. So vote for us. Nice
That's been the Anfield Wrap. I hope everyone is feeling as good as most of you in this room, not as bad as Benjano, but but if you have a hangover, I'm sure it was well worth it.